Good afternoon, everyone. It is Evan from the Trade Risk, Wednesday, March 18th, here with some market analysis. And we're going to talk about the markets post the FOMC minutes. We're going to look at some new trade ideas on the long side. If this strength wants to continue, I have some names for us to look at. So let's jump right in. I got a lot to go over. So we'll start with the SPY, and this morning really was deja vu. It started just like yesterday's session. We gapped a little bit lower and we started probing down. Sellers were in control, probing lower prices. And the dip buyers sort of stepped in exactly where they did yesterday. They rallied us off the lows. We went into the FOMC minute release and there wasn't any shenanigans played with the news. We basically just launched higher. There was no moving around. There was no fake out to the downside. Really, it was just a steady uptrend higher. And if you were trying to short it or fade the move, then you got caught in some trouble, I would have to imagine. Otherwise, the strength was there until about 3:20 Eastern time, and then we basically just faded into the close, and there's some tails here on the top of majority of the indices here. So the big takeaway is we are back above this 209 resistance level. I consider this to be a pretty significant level, and I wanted to see the market definitively clear it, and we got that today. Now the next step is holding this breakout. So tomorrow, again, like every day is, it's always going to be important to see if these gains hold on, or is this just kind of a exuberant move to the upside, and tomorrow we come crashing down. So I don't have the answer to that. We'll have to see. For now, I went in long into the minutes, a few positions, and I added a few more positions into the close. So I am going with this breakout. I have some names on, and we'll see if we get some continuation. If we look at the IWM, continued to make new highs today. This was the leadership here. It actually closed at all-time highs yesterday, and today it continued that, and it just marched higher, basically. Small fade off the top end there. And the Qs, very similar to the SPY, continued the uptrend. It's now bumping up against this range here that it carved out right above $108. But this looks good. It looks like we had a nice successful breakout retest, and we're back in sort of a healthy uptrend. It's a little early to say that definitively, but it's certainly a day like today's action certainly goes to suggest that this uptrend could be a nice propel to the upside to resume this uptrend. So let's look at some other markets now. TLT first. Ever since this island bottom that we identified here back a couple of weeks ago, this market has resumed its uptrend. The bulls have been in control, and today was a monster day for TLT. Cleared this resistance level right here, $130. Rates going down, TLT goes up, and this one looks good. There's a lot of air up here, really. 135, that level thereabouts is probably the next interesting target to have on watch. But TLT for now looks good. We'll look at the dollar, and the dollar got crushed today, down 2%. So finally a very definitive sort of break halt to this major uptrend that the dollar has been in. And because of that, we saw a lot of commodities bounce back today. Let's look at USO first. Had a very strong 5% day, came with a lot of volume, and it basically reclaimed kind of these lows here that we made back in February. So on a weekly chart, could look a little more interesting, that we potentially super early to even consider saying that this is a sort of a double bottom, washout. But it's interesting. It's something that this candle here is at an area to take notice, and we saw with this type of action today, we saw the bulls really reclaim this price level here. So I think this is a message to, if you are short, You got to get off your shorts. I was short USO just last week. I got short it, I think, here on Wednesday and wrote it down Thursday, Friday. Closed my position actually Monday, and so I'm not involved in this trade anymore. But if I still had it on today, would certainly be a day that I'd be stepping aside, stopping myself out. UNG. I actually took some long UNG 1440. This level here is sort of an interesting midpoint point of control that we reclaim, that the bulls reclaim. So I like that action. If this dollar is going to continue to slide a little bit here, out of all the commodities, metals, I like UNG, sort of the formation here, the best. So I am long some UNG. They get a pretty tight stop. I mean, I basically don't want to see it back below 1440. Give it a little more room than that, but essentially I want to see that breakout hold. 1510 is another real significant level. That would be the upside level to test here that I'd be looking to trade into, and then we'll have to see how it handles 1510. If it can get through there, then you know, it definitely has some room to continue its move higher. So I'm long some UNG. Let's see what happens with it. Gold, another very strong bullish candle here at a level of interest. 110 was the level we had identified here. These were the lows back in November of 2014. So we found support at those lows, and we are racing higher to this open gap right here. That's the first target that the bulls need to sort of reclaim and start healing this chart. So gold looks short-term bullish here. Silver, even better. Same type of thing. Nice bullish confirmation here, reversal higher off of this 1485 support. Silver looks pretty good in the near term at least. XLE, this is your big sector leader today, up almost 3% on the day, thanks mostly to the rise in oil prices. So XLE had a very positive session that had a nice impact on the markets today. XLU, so the utilities actually, had a really nice session today too. Goes in hand with the TLT move that we saw with rates going down. And XLF actually was probably the weakest. This, I think, definitely was the weakest actually. Still positive on the day, but you know, you can kind of see banks don't necessarily like the low interest rates. So this sector here sort of lagged in today's session. Still up, and we still had some pretty good breadth overall. A lot of sectors kind of firing today, which was really nice to see. And you know, other than the financials, I think we're in pretty good shape. So into some individual names. Apple has continued its short-term uptrend here. You can see we kind of traded in down this flag here. We broke out essentially yesterday, and we saw some nice continuation today. 130, this will be a pretty tough level, I would imagine, to get above. We had a lot of chop in here. We had that event that we went through around 130, so there's a lot of overhead supply here right around 130 to contend with. So let's keep that one on watch for Apple. Google had a nice day today as well, up 1.5%. Breaking above this kind of cluster here of resistance right around 562. So price has been kind of going back and forth here right around 550 to 560, and we tried to you know, we closed on the highs, slightly broke through that level, so we're going to need to see Google follow through to the upside here. But again, it could be a nice impulse leg higher, 50% retrace, and now trying to get this uptrend going again for the bulls. Netflix was up today about 1%, and you know, this chart still is in some rough shape. We still have this gap here that remained unfilled, and you know, the fast-moving averages are still racing down. We're in a clear short-term downtrend in Netflix, so this one still needs some time. I wouldn't really be very interested in trying to look for continuation here. You know, we basically closed. We couldn't even take out yesterday's highs. So while we did end up 1%. I still think this one is a little damaged right now, and this one just could need some more time. There's just better setups, cleaner setups out there, in my opinion. Tesla is even one of them. Tesla's finally starting to look like it's ready to come off these lows. It looks like the bulls, so far at least, have held $188, this $190 level again. I guess this is pretty much the second time, if you count this back here in mid-January, and then again here to kick off the month of March. So it held. We're going to look to see if the bulls can continue. They closed it above $200 today. 220 is the next real big target, and this is just coincides with this range that we've been kind of carving out here for a few months. So not super interesting, but sort of actionable here in Tesla. It's breaking this downtrend, and it's bouncing off the lower end of this range. So we'll look to see if there's some continuation there. Amazon, looks similar to almost like a Google, the way it's been hanging out for the past week or so, bouncing around in about almost a 10-point range, closed on the highs of the day, looking to try and take out this past week's highs and resume this uptrend higher. So after earnings, this one was just off to the races. Really tough to be involved in this if you weren't either already involved or if you weren't comfortable buying highs and buying some real strength here. So this, if you've missed Amazon, the move, you might be able to, pull something together here if we get follow through above today's highs. I think that could be an interesting long setup to jump on board. So for anybody that's been looking at Amazon, I think that's pretty interesting. Facebook, real strong move today, up 2%. Back to the top end here, $81. This is where we failed last time around. I think I got long it on this bar here on March 4th. And I was stopped out very quickly 2 days later on March 6th on this bar. So it looks like Facebook's back to the top of this range. Let's look at a weekly chart. Looks good. I mean, it looked good last time too. So we need to see commitment. We need to see prices sustain above $81 though. I think Facebook, looks great. I think it's potentially off to the races for new all-time highs. But we need to see it get some more follow through tomorrow, maintain above there. Otherwise, I think Facebook is one that you want to have on watch if you've been waiting for that one. And Twitter didn't have quite as strong of a day today, but still a pretty good formation here. So, we gapped up above this previous earnings release, went sideways for a little bit, tried to make a run on this $50 level, ultimately failed, came back down, retested the gap, made a slightly lower low here into the gap, but the bulls were managed to save this, and we've basically, we pushed off it a little bit. We've been going sideways. It's been sort of an indecisive look to it. It could almost go either way. But today's candle gives you a little more hope that the bulls are in control here, especially with this nice tail. So this one did fade pretty good today, down almost to the $46 level before reversing. So look for some follow through here. I think that'll be important for the bulls. A back above 47.50, and you could get this back in motion to the top end of this range and ultimately retest the $50 level. So have that one on watch. Alibaba, this one was all over the place today. I believe this was lockup day, if I'm not mistaken. Had some real nice strength out of the gate that ended up fading, closed up just a little bit on the day. And, it's still just a product of this formation. I think it's, potentially carving out some type of bottom here, or at least some type of interesting base. So I think $86 to $80, still the range that we need to have on watch. You can see the moving averages are starting to flatten out a bit here, but you have this pretty important $86 level resistance level that the bulls are going to have to definitively take out to get this interesting on the long side. So keep it on watch. It looks like it's trying to get going here, but it's still finding a little bit of trouble. So it could be one that will be ready to go pretty soon. GoPro, Sort of a similar camp. This one's still in a relatively damaged kind of downtrend formation, but you can see as of late it's trying to find some support down here under $40. The bulls managed to get a close above $40 today, and I think even yesterday closed a little bit above $40. So you can see they're trying to stabilize it. The moving average is starting to even out a little bit here. So, you're really going to need to see a previous swing high taken out, so $43, getting above that, maybe signaling that we could be trying to make a run out of this longer term downtrend that's been in place since the end of 2014. So keep it on watch. It doesn't look super ready yet, but that could change pretty quickly. So let's get into some ideas, some trade ideas. If this market's going to continue to follow through to the upside, then here's some names to have on watch. TERP is the first one. Closed, was this a new all-time high? Almost a new all-time closing high on this one. Take a look at a weekly chart. It's a recent IPO. I showcased this one yesterday in my trade ideas video. So we did see some follow through. I'm not involved in it, but something you should keep on watch. BLOX is another interesting one here. Not involved in it, but if you take a look at a weekly chart, you can see we came crashing down from the end of 2013, bottomed out around $12, and then we've been in this pretty steady uptrend. If you look at a daily chart, though, you can see we gapped up here recently and to kick off the month of March. And then we've basically been holding high and tight, didn't manage to fill that gap. And if you zoom out here, you can see we have a big open gap that we are basically just about to walk into if we can clear the recent highs at $25. So price can move pretty quickly through a gap like this, and you could almost look at this as one big cup, one big rounded bottom pattern, and BLOX could start to move pretty quickly there. So look for some continuation. 20, above today's highs essentially is pretty much what you want to have on watch. Next is WWAV. This one's been holding pretty tight, had a nice push higher here in February, and now it's starting to base out here. It looks ready to go, especially after today's candle. Probed all the way down to about $41. Bulls reclaimed it, closed on the top end here. So if you look for some continuation here tomorrow, I think you could get some nice upside follow through to at least the highs. So let's have that one on watch. Next is SWFT. This one has been basing out for a couple of months now, basically for the entire year of 2015, and this $29 level, basically $28.80, right in here, has been a pretty significant resistance level. And you can see if we do see some follow through tomorrow, we'd be challenging it again eventually. If we keep knocking at this level, this will get through it. So here's a good one to have on watch for the rest of the week. Next is LB. This one has been in a strong uptrend for a while now. For all of 2014, came all the way from $56, basically a double, and this one's been now moving sideways here for a few weeks. So this one has some pretty clear resistance, 92.50. I think if it can get above here, which was where after this gap down, bulls found some resistance right around this $92.50 level. I think if we can get above there, you get a trade to the highs and then potentially resume this uptrend. So that one looks pretty good. And finally, ARMK. I think I've showcased this one recently in the past too. 32.55, still a level that is giving this one some trouble, but it is hanging out there. Look at these candles getting real tight underneath this resistance level. So something's going to give here one way or the other. I think you could probably get a trade to the short or on the upside here, but 32.55, that would continue this uptrend. If you get a close above there, I think you'd be in some pretty good shape. So that's all I have for today. Good luck trading. Like I say, I think today was a pretty important day. We'll have to see if we can continue to hold that tomorrow. But as far as I'm concerned, above 209 in the SPY was a pretty significant level. And with oil coming off of some potential bottom, one day doesn't make a trend by any means, but there's a pretty pretty important day. So with a lot of action happening, like the dollar coming down and a lot of these commodities rallying, we could get something happening here in the indices as well. So thanks for watching, as always, and I'll catch you next time.